everyone, this is Debbie with Book and BuJo. Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you've been here before. Today we are going through what I will be reading for the Magical Readathon. I also forgot to put on the books that I will be reading for Adventures in Aeldia, the year-long Readathon by G at Book Roast. So I will go over those really quick right now. Ariel stopped at 3C, and so she's now is going to move to 4C. And for that, she needs to cross a river. So the word river needs to be in the title of the book. And well, none of mine had river that I had on my TBR. But I did find a children's book that is just called River and is by Elisha Cooper, and my library has that, so it's only 42 pages, so I'm going to count that one. So as soon as that comes in from my library, I am going to read that one. And then for Karasu, he was at 3B and needs to now move to 4B. And to do that, he needs to find a winter cloak. And you need to read a book where the author's name has a W in it, and that was easy. So I'm going to read Ruin by John Gwynne. And now I will head you on over to Original Debbie for all of the prompts and the amazing books that I will be reading in April for the Magical Readathon. We went from big rainstorm to big snowstorm, all within minutes. Looks so pretty coming out the front windows. Hi, this is another editing Debbie here to let you know I forgot to include 2 more readathons that are for the month of April because they came out after I did my initial filming. So let's go ahead and talk about those. So we have, and that's with Soleil Celine and Jade Juniper, and I will leave that link down below for you. And then we also have The Library of Dragons by Books to Ashes, and I will leave that down below for you as well in case you want to join in on these. So let's start with Draconathon. So you pick they have different bingo boards for your moon and your sun sign, and if you don't know what those are, they have links to websites that can help you figure out what that is. My moon sign is fire and my sun sign is fire. So I am just a fire girly apparently. And they have different bingo boards to go with each of the different signs. So that's kind of fun. So if you are a water and a fire, then you can find a bingo board for that. If you are air and water, then there's one for that as well. So I found the one that's fire and fire, but they also have a blackout board. And that one has the prompts from every single board. So most of the prompts on the boards are similar, but like mine will have specific fire related prompts where others will have water or air or earth prompts. So let's go over what I'm going to do for each of the ones for the fire board, and then I will figure out which ones I will do for the extras that are on the blackout board, just in case I can get there. We'll see. All right, to start out with, we have Fire on the Cover. Oh, and of course, I forgot to mention, these should all be books that have something to do with dragons. So dragons on the cover, dragons in the title, dragons in the book. They just want to get all that dragon love out there. And it kind of coincides with the Magical Readathon as well, since G said that there's a lot of dragon stuff as well. And the Library of Dragons is also all about dragons. All right, Fire on the Cover. And for this one, I am reading A Language of Dragons, and that is by S.F. Williamson. And this is also the group book for the Draconathon. The next prompt on the top row is animals, and for this one I will be reading Empire of Dragons because there are animals on the cover, which also works for Buzzwordathon. And then Feminine Rage. So I had originally put Sadie on there by Courtney Summers, but there's no dragons in that story. So I did a little research and found that Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole has Feminine Rage, so I'm going to read that one. Oh, the other thing is you can double up, triple up. If you can find one book that fits every single prompt, go for it. And let everybody else know what it is so we can read that one too. But if you want to double up, triple up, quadruple up on prompts, that is allowed. The next prompt is to read an indie or self-pub dragon book. And for that, I will be reading Defiant by Michael R. Miller. And this is the 3rd book in the Songs of Chaos series. Next up is Nostalgia. Read a book that was released between the 1980s and the early 2000s, so like before 2010. And for that, I did find, and I believe the author is Patricia C. Weird, and I like her writing. I'm reading one of her other series, but this one is Dealing with Dragons, and this is the first book in the Enchanted Chronicles series. And then we have Short and Sweet. Read a short book, and for that is Dealing with Dragons by Patricia C. Weird. And then we have a non-reading prompt, and that is to tidy up your bookshelves. So it could be just that you dust them, you could rearrange them, maybe add a couple little knickknacks, like I got my little dragon knickknack here. I can give him a little dust and move him around the shelves. That could count. And then we have a Bookworm. Read your longest book, and that is Defiant by Michael R. Miller. This is over 800 pages. I know I'm being a little ambitious. We'll see if I can finish it. And then we have LGBTQIA+, again, Defiant by Michael R. Miller. Then we have Stories Abroad. Read a book outside of your country, and for that I will be reading Empire of Dragons by Rachel L. Shade. And this is the first book in the Cursed Empire series. Then on the third row we have a thrifted or a gifted book, and for that I'm going to read Defiant by Michael R. Miller, and I was able to get this when it was on sale, so that was great. It was under $5. Next up is to read a book by a BIPOC author, and for that I will be reading Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. And then we have a free space, that really nice space right in the middle of the board. And next is a buddy read, and for that I will be doing the group book, and that's A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. The last space on that row is celestial, so star, sun, moon, clouds, something like that on the cover, and for that I will be reading A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. Row number 4. Read an illustrated dragon book, so a comic, a manga, or a graphic novel. And for that I will be reading Leviathan, Volume 1 by Shiro Kuroi. Then another non-reading prompt, Out and About. Read outside somewhere, at a park, at a coffee shop, just go somewhere not where you typically read. And that'll be easy because I will be doing a lot of driving. Be able to listen to audiobooks and read my Kindle. That'll be nice. I can get through Defiant. And some of these I won't necessarily know for sure, like from the blurb and some little research I did, it sounds like they do have these, but if not, I can switch books around a little bit if I need to. And the next one is Court Politics, and for that I'll be reading Empire of Dragons by Rachel L. Shade. And then another non-reading prompt, and that's to have a beverage of some sort, and bonus points if it's some kind of dragon themed. So maybe it's a fiery drink, so like you have maybe some kind of fiery drink, or some kind of dragon color drink. Maybe it looks like green iridescent or something. I don't know, some kind of fun drink. The last prompt on that line is TBR Veteran. Read your oldest book. And out of all of the dragon books I have on here, my oldest one is Defiant by Michael R. Miller. Last row, another non-reading prompt, and that's craft or food. So do some sort of dragon craft. I'm actually kind of thinking of doing this little crochet dragon because it's adorable. But you could also make some kind of dragon food, some kind of a spicy dip, or like maybe make something that you can call Dragon Balls or Flight of the Dragon or whatever you want. Have fun with your food. Then the next two are reading but yet non-reading prompts, sort of. So you've read a book and you're going to do something with it. The first one is to review an indie book that you've read. So like for me, I have an indie book which is Defiant. So I'm going to read this one and then I'll post a review on Goodreads, Amazon, Storygraph, someplace like that. The next prompt is to give a star rating. So not only will I review it, but I will also give it a star rating on those platforms. Next prompt is another non-reading prompt, and that is to watch some sort of movie or TV show that features dragons. And lastly is competition or trials. And I did have to look this one up, and it does say that Dealing with Dragons by Patricia C. Weird is a competition and trial book. So that will give me a blackout on the board, and I've used basically 4 books for the whole thing. So that's cool. 5 books for the whole thing. So that's cool. And then for the blackout, the ones that aren't on my board, we have Earth on the cover. None of my dragon books have Earth on the cover, like an actual picture of the Earth. So if I do this one, it would have to be a non-dragon book. And that could be The Night Masquerade by Nydia Okorafor or The Dark Forest by Cixin Liu. Then we have Cozy Fantasy. So I'll have to wait until I read it to see if it actually fits or not, but I may be able to use Dealing with Dragons by Patricia C. Weird. We'll see. If not, then I have The Burning Witch, Book 1 by Dellum Hawk. And then again, we have the indie book rating, which was on mine, film TV show, which is on mine, And then we have Opposites Attract. This one I was struggling with a little bit. I did some searching to try and figure out if any of the books that I have that have dragons have Opposites Attract, and Dealing with Dragons does. So very excited to use that for another prompt. And then we have air on the cover. So it could be wind or storm or clouds. And I zoomed in really close so I could tell. And Empire of Dragons by Rachel L. Shade does have clouds. So all of this stuff back here that looks kind of fuzzy, that's clouds in there. And then we have the Celestial one again, which I did, and Animals, which I have on mine. Feminine Rage, Court Politics, A Beverage, and TBR Veteran. So all of those are on my board. And then we have the Indie Pub, we have the Nostalgia Prompt, Craft and Food, Indie Book Post, so reviewing the book, Short and Sweet, Tidy Up Your Shelves. All those are on mine. Bookworm, LGBTQIA+, Stories Broad, have all those. Thrifty Gifted, BIPOC, and Buddy Read. Those are all on mine too. So Fire on the Cover, have that one on mine. Competition or Trials, have that. Out and About, Illustrated, those are the same. And then the last two are ones that are not on my board. So we have Friend or Creator Rec, so recommendation. And so I'm going to take Soleil Celine and Jade Juniper's recommendation of A Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. And then lastly, we have Water on the Cover. Again, I was struggling with this one. I knew Amari and the Night Brothers, that's on my TBR, has it, but that doesn't have dragons, as far as I know. But then again, I zoomed in. When I was zooming in for the clouds, I also saw that all back here is water. So there's water on the cover of Empire of Dragons by Rachel L. Shade. So I'm very excited that fit both of those extra prompts. So that is everything that I'm planning to read for Draconathon. Hopefully I can get all of those in. We'll see. I did try and get all of these books on my TBRopoly and the Magical Readathon, so hopefully that helps me get to all of these books. And then lastly, we have Library of Dragons. So there's a couple of things that she put out. So she has an item shop, and with that you can buy different things that you'll need in future chapters. But she said it's probably best not to purchase them now, but just kind of take a look at them and see what they're all about and see which ones you're going to want for the next chapter in the Readathon. For April though, you want to pay attention to the word search. So your prompt is one of the words. So it could be a color of the cover, it could be something on the cover, it could be something the book's about, and you can double up for 2 prompts. So you could take 2 different colors and use 1 book for that, but you can't take 3. You can only use it for 2, and you can do that 5 times. So you need to read 5 books and you would get 10 tokens then for the next chapter of the Readathon. So I did kind of find something for all of the books. Doesn't necessarily have to be dragon themed for the books. You just need to read books. So this is kind of what I came up with. So there's 4 different colors, yellow, red, green, and blue. And I have for yellow and red, I have Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. That is definitely yellow and red. There's also like animals. So you have insects, birds, small mammals, gardening. There's also the sun, the sky, the sand, water, and then the words and, the, and of. I chose birds and of. And I can do City of Gods and Monsters because of in the word, and this is definitely a bird. And then for blue on the cover and water on the cover, I have Amari and the Night Brothers. And then I combined gardening and it shows Castle of Dusk and Shadows. So and everything around here is like trees and flowers and things like that. And that's what I think of with gardens. I couldn't find anything else to combine with the insects, but Fog and Fireflies by T.H. Lennon, and that has fireflies, which are insects. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, I could have combined insects and for Fog and Fireflies, and then gardening and sky, and use Empire of Dragons by Rachel L. Shade, because there's a bunch of trees and plant life on there, and then of course the dragons are in the sky. The next is green for the color of the cover and the in the title, and that's The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. And then for small mammals, the only one I could find was Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, the second book in the Lunar Chronicles. And then for sand and sun, I think I can use The Night Masquerade by Nydia Okorafor, but it might just work for one of them. The other one I can work for sun is Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. And now let's go ahead and check out what I'm doing for the Magical Readathon. We have the Magical Readathon. with G at Bookworst. I have my syllabus here, your course, your prompts, your School of Magic, the course focus, and then your reading prompt here at the end. Let's start with Karasu this time. So he is in his last year of Godseer. He has been doing Godseer since the very first Magical Readathon. And he has 7 classes that he has to take for this. The other one he's been doing since the very beginning is Scribe. And this one he has 5 classes to take. And then last year he started Aeldia Excavationist. And so he has 4 classes for that one. And lastly, because G's amazing creative brain came up with Tome Binder. And since he is a scribe, Tome Binder just, like if he's going to write stuff down, he might as well bind it up into a book, right? So he wants to go for this one too. And this one is 3 classes. Now, if you think of your normal college, you may need the same, say, English 101 for multiple different callings. So what I do, and you would only have to take that class once. So that's kind of how I go about some of these. It may be cheating, I don't know, but that's how I've been doing it. And Karasu, over all 4 of those different callings, he has 11 classes that he needs to take. First class is Astronomy, and the only course he needs that for is Godseer. So Astronomy, the course focus is Lightfall, and the reading prompt is Color Wheel. So here's my random color wheel pick. Green. So I got green, and I decided to go with Scarlet, the second book in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. Next up is Inscription, and he needs Inscription for Godseer, he needs it for Scribe, and he needs it for Tome Binding. And for Inscription, the course focus is The Hook, and the reading prompt is First Sentence Challenge. Try 3 and pick the best. I decided to go to my Amazon borrow list because I have 10 books on there, and I chose 3 books for Karasu to choose from. And they are Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh, the first book in the Boys of Tomen series, the BuJo Book Club, and Castle of Dusk and Shadows. So let's give those a try. Okay, I have Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. I've heard some really good things about this one. And it looks like it starts with an author's note, name pronunciations, and a glossary. So let's go ahead and go to the first chapter. It was January 10th, 2005. All right, not bad. It's intriguing. What happened on that day? You know, what's going on? Let's go to the next one. The BuJo Book Club by Jillian Harvey. Now, this one does have a prologue and a first chapter. I will probably just go to the prologue because that's kind of the first part of the book anyway. George was just stepping out of the cafe, takeaway coffee in hand, when he saw Grace appear in the window of the dubac opposite. That sounds interesting too. We got coffee, we got him seeing somebody. And then lastly, by Rachel L. Shade, we have Castle of Dusk and Shadows. And this is a Fae Pride and Prejudice retelling, which sounds very intriguing. But let's try the first sentence, see what happens. Insistent rapping on the front door startled me from a restless sleep. 3 very different first sentences. Because I want to know, well, who's at the door? Is it going to be good news? Is it bad news? I'm still kind of intrigued, just like, hey, it was 2005. Like, that leaves it so wide open to just about anything. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the second one, the BuJo Book Club. I don't know. I'm pretty intrigued by what is happening with the rapping at the door. Like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen when they open that door? Is it good? Is it bad? They just is it a younger sibling saying, hey, come on, come down to breakfast? Like, is it, hey, you're now a princess? Like, who knows what it is? So I think I'm going to go ahead and go with Castle of Dusk and Shadows by Rachel Shade. I'm intrigued. Next, we have Psionics and Divination, and we have that for Godseer. And Psionics and Divination is a psychokinesis book with witches or the occult. And for that, I chose The Burning Witch by Delham Hawk. And this is the same author of The House Witch. Next up, we have Restoration, and Restoration is for Godseer and Scribe. The course focus is Uncommon Antidotes, book with a 4+ star average rating. And I did have to look. There were a couple that fit and a couple that didn't. And I decided to go with The Dark Forest, and it's a 4.1 average rating, and that is by Cixin Liu, which is the second book in the Remembrance of Earth's Past series. And I loved the first book, The Three-Body Problem. So good. So I'm very excited to get into the next one. Next, we have Conjuration, which is for Godseer and for Aeldia Excavationist. And the course focus is a locational summons, random country generator ×5, but for author. So you had to do a random country generator, and you got to do it 5 times. So out of those 5, you then pick one, and the author needs to be from that country. And here's what I got. So I got Spain, Croatia, Canada, Italy, and Egypt. And I decided to go with Canada, and that is Lucy Maud Montgomery, or Ellen Montgomery, and the book The Blue Castle. I absolutely love the Anne of Green Gables series by her, and I'm looking forward to reading some of her other works. Next up is Demonology, and that is just for Godseer. And the course focus is Banishing Basics, a book with a missing person. I had to look this one up because I wasn't sure. I mean, if you're not reading it, if you haven't read it yet, it's kind of hard to tell if there's actually a missing person in it. Sometimes it says in the description, but not always. So I did a little Google search and went through the Goodreads list of books with missing persons. And I'm very excited because I've wanted to read this, heard so many good things about it. And I'm going to read Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. And that is the first book in the Amari Supernatural Investigation. Next up is Lore, and that is for Godseer. It is also for Scribe, and it is for Aeldia Excavationist, so most of the callings. And the course focus is The Song of Ages, musical term in the title, song, note, whatever, if there's some type of musical term. I went with This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab, and that's the first book in the Monsters of Verity series. Next we have Elemental Studies, which is for Scribe, and the focus is Earth, fruits, fruit on the cover. And for this, I decided to go with Paradise Lost by John Milton. Next, we have Spells and Incantations, and that is for both Scribe and Tome Building. And the course focus is Spell, Copy, Paste, a word from your last book title. And for this one, it was kind of easy because it was On a Quiet Street was the last book that I read, so I got to use the word A. And I chose Momentous Events in the Life of a Cactus by Dusty Bowling. And next we have Animal Studies, which is for Aeldia Excavationist. And for this one, it's Raccoon Studies, Steal a Book from Another TBR. And for this one, I went with the BuJo Buddies book club with Joshi Curran, and that is Strange Beasts by Susan J. Morris. And then lastly, Art of Illusion, which is for tome binding. And the focus is Distance Manipulation, a book you've already planned for this month. And for that, it's The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. So that is Karasu's 11 books that he will be reading. So that almost takes up my TBR. Next, we have Ariel, who has been, since the very beginning, has been doing Master of Elements. So this is the last year, the end of the autumn equinox, she will be graduated. And then also same with Feywild Cartographer, she's been doing since the beginning. And then, of course, with the two new ones G came up with, we have Hearthkeeper and Bard. So 4 for each. It used to be, 3 for Karasu and 2 for Ariel, and now we have 4 for each of them, but it's fine. It's fine. 12 courses for her in total. So for Master of Elements, there's 6. For Feywild Cartographer, there's 7. And for Hearthkeeper, there's 4. And for Bard, there's 5. But luckily, there's a few overlaps there. So first is Elemental Studies. And for that one, it's fruits on the cover. And she will be reading. And then we have a new one here, Shape-Shifting, and that is a miniature dragon. Dragons in the title or on the cover or in the story. Well, I have a few that I could use for this. So we have Defiant by Michael R. Miller, but we also have one that's actually on my TBR for TBRopoly, and that is Empire of Dragons. And that is by Rachel L. Shade, and that's the first book in the Cursed Empire series. And Animal Studies again, and that is Raccoon Studies, Steal a Book from Another TBR. And for this one, I'm going with Ruin by John Gwynne, the third book in the Faithful and the Fallen series, because I did just finish Valor. So we're on the 3rd book now, and that's with the Ketchup Book Club. Next, we have Astronomy, Lightfall, use a color wheel. So here's my color wheel. Honey. And that one I got Honey. There's actually a few books that I could have chosen on this one, but I decided to go with Saga Volume 8 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. And then we have Conjuration, Location Summons, Random Country Generator for Author. So I got this one again. And for this one, I got Costa Rica, the Philippines, St. Lucia, which my sister-in-law actually got married there, Bolivia, and Poland. Well, I did a little search to see what books were from each of the different authors in those countries, and I decided to go with St. Lucia, Ready Player One, because Ernest Cline apparently is from St. Lucia. Next, we have Restoration, Uncommon Antidotes. Book with 4+ star average rating. And with this one, it was exactly a 4.0, but that's The Night Masquerade by Nnedi Okorafor, which is, I believe, the 3rd book in the Binti series. And then we have Alchemy, Volume Magnification, all capitals in the book title. And that one I'm going with Rogue Protocol, the 3rd book in the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. And next we have Inscription, The Hook. First sentence challenge. Try 3, pick the best. So here we go again. The first book I'm going to try a sentence from is House of Bane and Blood, and this is by Alexis L. Menard. So let's give it a try. Oh, this one also has a prologue. The coarse grind of a cell wall caused his eyes to flutter open. Why is he a guard? Is he one of the prisoners and he's in the cell? Interesting. I'm intrigued. What else we got? The next one is Table for 5 by Izzy Bromley. I'm afraid we're letting you go, Abigail. Oh, poor Abigail. Somebody losing their job? That sounds sad. not sure about sad. I don't think it's supposed to be a sad book, but that sounds rough. And then the last one I'm going to try a sentence from is City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. So let's see. So it has, I don't think I'm going to count this as a chapter because it has a bunch of these at the beginning. But that's not actually a chapter, so I'm not going to do those. Okay, here we go. If you so much as a look at her again, I will break all 4 of your legs, pup. I think I'm going to go with the first one. That one, I mean, this one I'm reading on my TBRopoly, so I should pick this one, but out of those 3 sentences, I think I'm going to go with the first one. I'm going to go with House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard. I have heard some good things about this one. I believe Mel from Eleanor Reads or Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy. I think one of them or both of them read it and liked it, so I'm going to try that one. Next we have Demonology, Banishing Basics, a book with a missing person. So again, I was looking at that list, the Goodreads list. For that one, I'm going to read Sadie by Courtney Summers. And then we have Spells and Incantations, Spell, Copy, Paste, Word from your last book title. Well, the one I finished 2 books on that same day. The first one was On a Quiet Street. The other one was Leviathan Wakes. So I was like, how many books are going to have the word Leviathan in it? I mean, there's probably quite a few with wake or wakes, but I found a graphic novel, and that's Leviathan Volume 1 by Shiro Kuroi. So I'm going to give that one a try and see what I think. I was just very excited to find a graphic novel with the word Leviathan in it. Actually, I wasn't even looking for a graphic novel. I was just kind of searching Leviathan in Hoopla, and that's what came up. Very exciting. And then we have Art of Illusion, Distance Manipulation, book you already planned for this month. And that is Defiant by Michael R. Miller, the 3rd book in the Songs of Chaos series. He's working on the 4th book, so that should be coming out not super soon, but that's going to be coming out in the near future. And I want to get caught up in the series before that one comes out. What I really want to put on here is the new Bound in the Broken series that comes out at the end of this month, and that is of Empires and Dust, but it's going to be a long one, so I'm going to save that for May. And then lastly, we have Lore, The Song of Ages, musical term in the title. And for that one, Book of Souls, and that is by Brad Magnorelli, and I have read from him before, and this is the first book in the Professor Croft prequels series. So the Professor Croft sequels, book 1 of the prequels, if that makes any sense. And that is what I am reading for the Magical Readathon. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait to hear what all of you are reading for the Magical Readathon, what your characters' names are, what callings they're doing. I would love to find that out, so leave that down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, leave some type of magical emoji in the comments to let me know that you are here. And until next time, keep reading. Bye!